In 1984 I came to Chile. I started working here. It took me about 15 years working in this beautiful country when I managed to buy my first Porsche. At the same time, which was about 20 years or 25 years ago, I started to collect Porsche automobilia, memorabilia and toys. For me, it was always extremely important to purchase old toys. When I talk about old, it starts in the 50s and let's say it finishes in the 80s. Of course, I also have toys from the 90s and more modern toys, but my focus has always been old toys because they are the ones which will gain value more and more in the future. It's art. It's being. If you buy old toys, they are considered as being art. So today, the important thing is to have all the series of each brand complete. And I can say they are complete. I will further go into details and show you my favorite brands and the complete collection which has been coming together within the last 25 years. Schuko, Germany, beginning of the 1970s. These are assembly kits. Here you have them. That's a Porsche Targa, a Porsche Carrera RSR. As you see, still brand new with the plastic. Here we have a Porsche 911R rally version, also still brand new. A Porsche 917 with all the parts inside. This is also a pretty old one from the beginning of the 70s, an assembly kit. I think I have to show it this way. Here it comes with the instructions, with the stickers and everything. Of course, I will leave it in the original box. I mean, I don't want to build it together. These toys are definitely ones of my favorites. They come from the German company Distler from Nuremberg in southern Germany. Were made at the end of the 1950s, beginning of the 1960s. The company does not exist anymore. They work with a battery, and then you have to connect this piece with the steering wheel, and here you move the car back and forth with a cable. This is the original manual, and there are many magazines who had been writing about those toys. This is a very old magazine which comes, actually this magazine is from December 1954. Look at them. I mean, it's just a piece of art. I mean, and they have a gear shift inside. They have a key which you have to put inside in order to make it work. Pretty fancy toy. I mean, for the age, I mean, considering this is, 60 years old, about. So it's pretty old. Here we have two reproductions of the old Distler. Let me open one. This is the police car, and this is a red 356. They basically work with the same system, but they are pretty new. They were built, I think it was in 2002, and they were made by the German company Schuko, because Distler does not exist anymore. But the reproduction, size-wise, color-wise, is just identical. Of course, I like much more the old ones, but I wanted to make sure that I have those reproductions in my collection as well. Also, Japan has made beautiful Porsche toys, and this is my favorite brand here, TPS. And my favorite of all the favorites is this one, which the cameraman can also confirm because he also told me he likes this one. They were made at the beginning of the 70s. And you can see, I mean, this toy is still brand new. Nobody has ever played with it. It comes with the original box. Well, this is the original box. And here we have another two of TPS, which is the fire chief and the police car. Well, this one was extremely difficult to get because this is one of the most sought Japanese models until I finally found it in Sotheby's. And I don't want to tell you about the battle, I mean, how to get this one. I mean, at the end, of course, I was happy, but I was bleeding. I was really bleeding. Here we have some other Japanese models with a very high quality. The company is called Bandai. All these cars had been made in the beginning of the 1970s. They work either with control remote or with friction. And they have controllable directions, forward and reverse. Visible rear engine works with light and sounds and with batteries. And the other ones, they have a system which you call bump and go action, and when it stops, two doors open automatically. The motor sounds as well. They also belong to one of my favorite toys, and as you can see, all of them are top quality, still with the original boxes. Here we have some further very special tin toys, very old, end of the 1950s, made by the German company J&F, which also does not exist anymore. As you can see, all cars in an immaculate condition. They work with what you call the wind-up system. When you turn the key, here you see, and they come also with the original boxes, and some of them are having an extremely seldom color, which for example is this one and this one. Some of them I bought from an American collector who's very old today. His name is Hank Hammer, and he was a tough negotiator. But at the end of the day, well, there was a happy end, and he sold me, I think, 3 out of all 8 cars you can see here. I think it was this one, and this one. These are reproductions of the company J&F, Porsche 356. They are 15 years old. They were made around 2005. And the reproduction has only been made in those 3 colors, nothing else. I like more the old ones, but the new ones, they also look pretty beautiful, I must say. Here we have 3 models from the company HEMA, also German, showing the 356 of the Dutch police, Reichspolizei. And in fact, the Dutch police had the 356 as a service vehicle in those times. Those models, they are also more or less from the beginning, mid-1970s. I find them also very beautiful. Here we go with the most important models of my collection. It comes from the German brand Gescher. They made several type of models. One is the 557 model, and The other one is the 558 model, which you can see here on the license plate. This particular model is the absolute highlight of the collection. The color is extremely seldom, and well, I have to tell you, the price I have paid for that car, you can buy a real car for it. So, but I don't want to say anything further, because otherwise I would have problems with my wife. But as you can see, this car is basically still brand new. It's from the end of the 50s, and never ever there had been somebody who played with it. It comes with the original box, and I'm absolutely happy to have that one in my collection, because I only found it once in an auction and I never ever saw the same model again. Wow, wow, wow. This is also a geisha product, number 559, but I would say the most fun product, because every car you can see here has a little dog inside. And when you press this button, the dog is saying hello. So isn't that nice? Don't you enjoy that? And here comes another version from Geisha. It's not Auto Fox, it's called Auto Lux, and look what the dog is doing. These 5 rally cars are also made in Japan, and also one of my favorite Japanese brands called Aoshin. Maybe they look the same, but they're not the same, because everyone has a different number. And those cars, they also have automatic start-stop, steerable front wheels, roaring engine and racing spot lamps. This is German company TIPCO. The company does also not exist anymore. They produced these toys in the 1960s. At that time, I mean, obviously the only Porsche car they could produce was the 356, because by then the 911 was still not available. They all work with friction, as you can see here. And also here you see the original box of the car. This is a complete collection in all colors, so fortunately there is no model missing of the 356s they made at that time. Here comes my favorite German brand Schuko again. Well, Schuko still exists today, but they started, well, I would say already 80 years ago. Here we have the whole series of the 911 Targa, made by Schuko, beginning of the 1970s. They also work with friction, and this is also the complete collection of all the colors which Schuko has been building for that particular model. An ex-employee of Schuko, Mr. Nutz, left the company also in the 70s, and he was copying the same model with a different box, of course not with the name Schuko. It looks basically the same, but you can see some differences. I mean, front bumpers and rear bumpers, they're a little bit wider, but all after all, it's a very similar model. This is the famous old German brand Märklin. Märklin was specially known for making trains in miniature size. We are coming to that later, but these are the trains which Märklin is making. But this is just modern. I mean, this is old. This was all made in the 1950s. Some of those cars are still absolutely original, like the police car. Also this one here. and 2-3 others as well, whilst the others have been restored with the original colors of the time. Some of them, they also still have the original box, especially the one here, which is for the police car. So these cars are really beautiful. They're all metal, 100% metal. I mean, it's very difficult to destroy them. And they're small, but they're beautiful. They're very, very nice. These are the smallest articles of the Schuko collection, size 190. They're called the Schuko Piccolos. So that's the complete Porsche collection of Schuko Porsche Piccolo. This is also a very old German brand called Autodux. They have only fabricated assembly kits. Here we have two 928 Porsches. One is a police car and the other one is just a racing car. As you can see, the boxes are still completely intact with the original packing, and the car has never been assembled. And here we have the oldest product of Autodux. This is from the 1960s. It's also an assembly kit. The Porsche 356 comes with a Mercedes SL, but as you see, it's still the original packing, and I would never ever dare to open same, so 100% intact. We continue with the Schuko family. Here we have the Porsche 917 in different colors, all made at the beginning of the 1970s. You just have to place the battery inside and then you hear the real Porsche sound. All, as you see, come also with the original package. I think they are also very important in a collection like mine, because Schuko is one of the main and most important toy makers from those years. Here we have another 5 vehicles of the Schuko collection. I think they are very important. This is the legendary Carrera RS, and here we have the RS Turbo 911. Also, these toys are made in the 1970s. They're in very good condition. Original box, as always. And as I said before, these pieces have to be in every important collection. Who doesn't know Matchbox? Well, when I was a young kid, I played with Matchbox. That was, for me, the best of the best. The good thing is, these are the real original Matchbox cars made in England. Today, I mean, the ones which are made in China are not really the ones which I'm seeking for. But these are really original ones. They come all from the 1970s. We have the 928, the Turbo, and then we have it's a 910 racing car. So I think it was important to show them as well, because everybody, I think, knows the name Matchbox. This is a very special old German brand, very seldom, called CKO Kellermann. This is the first version of the 356, and thereafter they made another version of the 911. I have all the colors complete of the vehicles which they have been building for that specific model. And let me tell you the story, I have to be honest. The car here, this one, is very seldom. I probably paid, call it 300 euros for this one. But the most incredible thing, afterwards, in a different auction, appeared the original box. And if I tell you that I paid the double for the original box, probably you wouldn't believe me. But now both pieces match, and this is what I needed. So the original box here is very, very important. Vive la France! Here we go with some further French models from the company Norif. Norif still exists today, but this had been one of the very, very first models of the company. They are made in plastic, so also first plastic models, I would say, yeah, end of the 1960s, more or less. All colors completely. Some of them I just purchased in Sotheby's, others in eBay. From all over, but at least now the family is together. This is my favorite French brand called Yaustra. They are, I think, the most appreciated and sought models for whatever is tin toys. We have different ages, different systems. We have one model which works with friction, the other one works with rewind, and the other one with control remote. I would say all those models here are made at the end of the 50s, especially the ones you see here, whilst these ones are from the beginning of the 60s. Some of them are unused, so some kids have been playing with it before. Here we go again with my favorite French brand, Yaustra. This is a classical 911 in all kind of different versions. Control remote version, which works with the battery, and then the other version which works with friction, and some of them they don't have frictions. They're all built at the beginning of the 1970s, and the majority of them also comes with the original boxes. Two very special Yaustra police models. First of all, the German police, and here we have the Dutch police. Both are going with control remote. At least 45 years old and in perfect condition with the original box each. These pieces are also from the French Yaustra family. It's the old Porsche Carrera. There are different versions, I mean control remote and also friction. And we have police cars, we have fire cars, we have racing cars, and it's a pretty complete collection as well of this model. What you see here is very, very special and very, very seldom. The majority of those Porsche tractors I purchased from an American collector. I think it took me 2 months to negotiate with him. He was extremely tough. But at the end of the day, finally we met ends, and I'm extremely happy to have them here. These are all different type of Porsche tractors, all made in plastic, but as said already with the other cars, I mean, this is one of the first plastic models you can find in the market. Box is still original. I would say about 60 years old, the toys, yeah, more or less, 55, 60 years old. Some of them are still in unplayed condition. Some others must have had some owners before, some kids who played with it. I think they are definitely one of the highlights in my collection. Although I'm not a big friend of plastic models, but those plastic models are special because it had been the first plastic models made. I would say beginning of the 70s. The company is called Michael Seidel or Michael Seidel. We have the 914, We have the Tiger, we have some police cars, so it's a good mix. All are still in a pretty good shape, although you have to be very careful with the plastic that nothing breaks, because the older it gets, more cautious you have to be. Vive la France again, my favorite French brand, Yaustra. We have here a couple of 928 Porsche models. Some are with friction, some are control remote. This one is definitely my favorite. Isn't it beautiful? They're all more or less 40 years old. Then here we have two Porsche Carrera turbos. One is control remote, the other one is with friction. And here we have a couple of Carrera RS and one big 928. The colors are extremely nice. I mean, it's very, very beautiful to look at them, and I hope you enjoy them as well. Let me present you another very old German company called Gamma. Here we have two different products. One is the Porsche Carrera 10, which I have in three versions: white, red and yellow. Then we have two Porsche 930 turbos, control remote. We have here some computer auto games. These are also, I would say, very old, very beginning of the 1970s. This is German brand Carrera. At least German kids know this brand very well. It's one of the very old ones. And here we have the Carrera Structo 908 in different versions. Control remote, different colors, different sizes. And this also has been in the 70s one of the most desired toys for every kid in my country. This was one of my favorite toys when I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Faller hit car. For Christmas, many times I got those as a present. Well, Faller has also made other cars like Mercedes or Opel or whatever, but obviously I have only purchased the Porsche models. Yeah, this is basically going back, I mean, here for almost 50 years, and you see, I mean, all these cars are still in its original package. They never have been pulled out, and this is also the way I will keep it. Here we have some extremely beautiful models, also from the German brand Schuko. They are not that old, they are more modern. I mean, okay, modern, I say 20, 30 years old. But all those colors are just, for me, it's art. It's really art. And it took me quite some time to get all of them together, because some were in Germany, some were in Belgium, some were in the United States, in England, etc., etc. But today I believe to have them all complete in my collection. These are some of the very, very old Schuko models. We have here 4 cars of the Formula 2. And we have here the Porsche Carrera 6 in different versions and colors. And they are definitely from the beginning of the 1960s, I would say. 1965, 1966, something like that. All in the original box. Some boxes have some wear and tear already. But all after all, they're still in a very, very good condition. This is another French producer of tin toys called Kiralou. They have only specialized in the 356, which they have produced in different colors. Some of them are a little bit older, some of them are a little bit younger. But for me, they are also very important because they are absolutely beautiful. This is another French producer called Solido. The company still exists, but I have only specialized in the very old models of this brand. We have the Formula 2 car, we have the Carrera, we have the Spider. I was not satisfied with just having one of each color because I wanted to have also one of each number. So within the last 20 years, I mean, I found first number 1, then number 7, then number 16. And now, I mean, as you can see, there are numerous numbers available. And here behind you can see some original boxes belonging to each of the models. I just wanted to show them so that you know that each of those articles has its own box. My whole life I felt attracted to the police. Well, I never had problems with the police, except for speeding, of course, where I think numerous times I got caught, but most of the times I also got away, so that's why I love the police. The collection contains about 80 police cars. I have just taken a selection of the most important ones here. We have here, first of all, the Japanese model Daiya. We continue with Japan. This is Aoshin, this is also Aoshin, Aoshin and Aoshin. This is also a Japanese brand called Taiya. And this is a very, very special piece. It comes from Spain. I would say this is the most valuable car, or police car and toy for Porsche coming from Spain. It is a copy of Geisha, which you see here below, and very, very difficult to get. Here we continue with Geisha, 3 police cars. Then we have some small tin toys cars also coming from Japan, where I unfortunately do not know the brand. This is also Japan. This is an Italian company called Real. This is a French company called Jaustra. And last not least, this is a German company called Huki. All the cars are from the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. Well, having said already that I'm a big fanatic of the police, here we have a couple of police cars from the German brand Mini Champs. My whole Mini Champs collection has about 1,900 cars of that size, which is the size 143, and about 400 cars of that size, which is the size 118. All those police cars are real copies of cars which had been existing previously. We have the German police, we have the Dutch police, we have the Belgian police, and we also have the American police. Now we go to Bella Italia. Well, the Italians of course have not made many Porsche models for obvious reasons. I mean, being Ferrari and Maserati obviously being the front runners. Nevertheless, there's one brand which I like a lot called Polysteel. And they have made, at the beginning of the 80s, 3 very beautiful models, which I want to show you right here. One is a police model, the other one is a Porsche coming out of the snow, and the other one is just a normal Carrera, blue, fortunately. And have a closer look. This is Japanese brand Nikko. Nikko only made control remote toys. all brands, but a lot of Porsche models as well. All what you see here is from the 80s and from the 90s, all in the original box. They have never been used, and if you want to have a closer look, have it now. This is also a Japanese brand called Dicky, also specialized in control remote vehicles. Also all kind of brands, but a lot of Porsche. I would say the majority what you see here is all from the 1980s, all in the original box. Some of them already have some wear and tear, but the toys as such are unused. This is another star product from German company Schuko. It's called the Schuko Examico. It works on a rewind basis, which you can see here. And all cars are based on the 356. The collection of the Examicos is complete, so there is no other model missing on this one. Extremely beautiful, extremely nice, absolutely an eye-catcher for everybody. For me, the most important part of the collection are not only the cars, I would say the toys. The collection contains about 7,000 articles, whereof I would say 5,000 articles are toys. I have always taken care to buy top quality. Some pieces I didn't touch because I didn't like the quality. If you, for example, buy a piece like that, the car as such or the toy as such may cost you 100, but if it comes with the original box, it can cost you 400 or 500. So the original box is extremely important to make the piece as valuable as possible. But if we have a scale between 1 and 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, I would say all my pieces are between 8 and 10. I mean, quality again is the name of the game.